Hi all, this is Allmighty and welcome to this video. In this video we are going to talk about a bishop and knight endgames, specifically how to checkmate with a bishop and a knight the opponent's king. Okay, so for the beginning I prepared this position where we can see that black king is already in the corner and we have a couple of moves to checkmate him. But this is something that I'm showing you so that you can see the first rule of this endgame, that the black king needs to be in the same color corner as our bishop. So if for instance this king would be on a1 or h8, we won't be able to checkmate him. We first have to push him in a corner which is the color of our bishop, and for this situation, okay, he is already on a8, but the same thing would work if he was on h1, and of course we were close to him. So to finish up with this position, let me show you how it ends. So bishop b7, king to a7, and in the end knight to c6 is checkmate. This is just one of the ways how we can checkmate the black king with the knight and a bishop, but now I'm going to show you some random position where I will be playing against the machine, and along the way I will be explaining you what am I doing and why am I doing it. Okay, so this is probably one of the worst positions you can have in this endgame. Both of your pieces are in the edge of the board, and your king is on the first rank, and black king is right in front of you. So this is a good position, let's say, to start, so we can learn all of the steps that you need to know to checkmate with the knight and the bishop. Okay, but first, let me talk about the 50 move rule. So for those of you who don't know, if you go in a chess game 50 moves without exchanging a piece, it is this is a drawn game. So you can call an arbiter when you play in an official tournament. You can say that you played 50 moves without exchanging pieces, and it will be a drawn game. So we need to checkmate the black king in under 50 moves. So usually this takes around 30 to 40 moves. So it is move exhausting checkmate, but it is a fun one. So okay, the second thing I want to tell you about is the triangles in the position. So for example, here we have a white bishop, and we are talking about these triangles. So this is the first big triangle, and this is the second big triangle. Okay, and this is for the white bishop. For example, if we would have a black bishop, so this would be the first triangle, and this would be the second triangle. The same rules apply for black. And why are we talking about these triangles? Because we need to use them in the future, one of the future steps with them. So bishop will be occupying the longest diagonal of the triangle. So in this position, for example, our bishop will be occupying this one or this one, and we will use the bishop along with the knight to build a wall around the one part of the triangle and push from the king on the other side. But okay, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm just telling you so that you know one of all the important things before we go into it. So the first step would probably be to push the enemy's king, away. So as we said previously, we want to push him into one of the corners, which is the color of our bishop. So we have h1 and a8 here. Okay, but usually when you're playing against opponents who know about this checkmate, they tend to run into the corner which is of opposite color. Now I will be playing against the machine, and I'm just guessing that he will do it as well. So first we want to go and get our pieces out of the corner, and this should be the first step, and also centralize our pieces, because from the center we can actually move our pieces onto better positions. Okay, so now we centralized all of our pieces, and as we can see, the black king is running to this corner. And okay, we will try and hunt him down. Okay, he played here, but it doesn't matter. We just play the moves, and in the end we eventually push him to the corner. Of course, this is the corner where he wants to be, because we cannot checkmate him here. But now we are going to try and force him out on this, so on this side or on this side. And then after that I will show you again about the triangles. Okay, so a good way to do that is to bring your knight closer. So let's try that. So my plan is to put the knight here so that we attack with the knight in this square, so the king cannot go anymore into the corner. He has to go left or right. Okay, so first let me put in a waiting move. Now he has to decide. Okay, he cannot decide because the knight was attacking this square and this square, and this is actually the only square where he can go to. Okay, and now we put the king here, and now the king has gotten away from this corner, and this is the first thing we want to achieve. Now we have won half the battle, and now we have to repeat the small patterns, and you will in the end checkmate the black king. First, what you need to do, as we said, this is the one of the triangles that we will use now, since we want to keep the black king in this triangle. And the best places to put our bishop in these triangles are actually c2 and g6. So those are always, when we are talking about triangles, those are the squares which are like one to the border, to the edge of the triangle, so to speak. Okay, but now since our bishop is already on c2 and our king is on this side of the triangle, we will put our knight on c4. And why is that? So okay, let me play that and show you why is that actually. So now that we put our knight on c4, in the other case, for example, if the bishop would be on g6, we would want to put our knight to e6. This way they are creating a wall. So let me show you the wall. So the bishop is covering all these squares and also this one, and the knight is covering these squares. And they are together coordinating really well. And as you can see, with covering all of these squares, the black king cannot escape. And now what is left from us to do is to activate our king. And with activating our king, we're trying to push the black king further into this triangle and further into the corner. Okay, so we play king to g6. Of course, he plays this. And one other thing that we want to do now is try and occupy with our bishop the smaller triangle. So when we occupy the big triangle, we want to make the triangle smaller and smaller. So the next triangle would be this one. And that would mean putting our bishop on this diagonal, but only when it's okay to do so, so that in a way the black king cannot escape. So okay, we want to play here. We are not afraid that the black king can escape when he comes to this side of the board, because as we have seen with the bishop and the knight, we have created a wall. Okay, now because he moved, we can bring our king closer, and he has to run even deeper into the position. Now we again do this, and now we don't want to actually play king to h4, because he can play king to f4 and then we need to go back. So let's play king to f5. And okay, now he is running to this side, but unfortunately for him, he cannot run away, because as we said, these two pieces are guarding from this side and they are building a wall. So okay, now we finally got into a position where we can position our bishop to this diagonal, and we have occupied this smaller triangle, and that is great. So now the next step would be, as we said, to put our bishop probably to the best places in this triangle, and these places would be e2 square and g4 square. Okay, so since our so as I've said previously, there is no correct way of doing this in the end, checkmating the black king. You just do along the way as the black king moves. So for example, as we can see on for both of these squares, where we can put the bishop, the best place for the knight will be e4. So let's first do a waiting move. Okay, and now we will put the knight here, so that in the end he will come on e4. And okay, now what we have done is we come with the knight in the optimal position, and with this bishop we are slicing over here. With the knight we are covering this square so he cannot escape. But now it's time to put our bishop, let's say for example here, because we cannot put him on e2, it will be taken. And now since we are taking care of the wall from this side, we should bring our king on this side and push the black king deeper inside. So let me draw the wall once again. As you can see, now the squares where the black king can move are getting smaller and smaller, and now it's time to activate our king. Okay, as seen previously, now we've gotten here, and now, as you can probably imagine, now we can even occupy the smallest triangle, which is this one. We will just put our bishop here. Okay, he is of course attacking it, but it doesn't matter, we will put it on the other side. And now we create an opposition. He has to move. As you can see, this knight is covering these squares, and this bishop is covering these squares, and the black king can only move on these 3 squares. Now we activate the king a little bit more, and now he only has these 2 squares, and we've finally gotten to initial position. So okay, now the only thing left is to checkmate him, and we do it by following. We play the knight here, we check him like this, and this is checkmate. Okay, so this is one of the, of course, I only played one position, but if you go through the video and you watch through all of the steps and try to repeat them, learn about the triangles, you can do the same thing as me when I started doing this in my young age. You just turn on the machine, play against him, set up this position, use these rules, and you will, after much practice, in the end, learn how to easily checkmate with the bishop and the knight. For the end of this video, I would like to go to the initial position and tell you something about the previous section. So I chose to play against the machine so that the machine can essentially provide the best defense for black in this case, so that I have harder time in the end checkmating him. So in the end, if you would, for example, be in this situation where you have to checkmate with the bishop and the knight, and if your opponent wouldn't run to a corner which is opposite color of the bishop, you would just need to use the same rules and bring your king closer, coordinate your knight and your bishop, reduce the size of the triangles, and in the end the result will be the same. Okay, I didn't prepare any position for you this time, since you can just put your bishop and knight anywhere you want on the board, along with your king and your opponent's king. Just turn on the machine and practice, practice, and practice. So okay, I would like to thank you for watching this video, also a long one, and I will see you next time.